Bruce Schmalfuss is a Long Island artist living in North Babylon with his wife Marilyn. Bruce was born in 1955 in Mineola, New York, and grew up in Richmond Hills, Queens, and Smithtown, Long Island. He is the firstborn of 4 children to his parents, James and Georgiana Schmalfuss. Bruce was born a bright and curious child, spending a lot of time with his family, celebrating holidays and vacations, playing sports, especially baseball, and loving the great outdoors. Having an artist's soul, Bruce saw the shapes and colors of life and had a keen mind for detail. As a child, he would often escape to the solace of his bedroom to work on his creations. Supernatural monsters, models of King Kong, Godzilla, and superheroes such as Batman and Robin filled his room and his head. He loved to create these. By the time he was 14 years old, he had read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, had logs filled with baseball cards and the players' stats, and was beginning to write his 700-page novel titled The Witch King Prophecy. Evolving into a man of velvet and steel, he began college at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. After school, he joined the Navy, but the pursuit of art was tugging at his heart. Bruce never took an art class. He learned from conceptualizing and experimenting. Although at times shy, Bruce balances that with boldness of character, often seen in his artwork. He eventually created his own art studio, where he spreads his colorful wings with paintbrush and unconfined enthusiasm. Bruce has 2 grown children, Jimmy and Samantha, and is blessed with 7 loving grandchildren with whom he shares his gentle and compassionate spirit along with his love of art. Both his parents are in their 90s now, and he continues to share wonderful family times with them and with his 3 siblings. Along with traveling across the great United States and beautiful Europe with Marilyn, his wife, confidant, and greatest support, I have personally found it a pleasure working with Bruce, and he has enlightened me to much of the concepts of art. This is Come Together Conversations with me, Ann Smollon, interviewing Bruce Schmalfuss, our Long Island artist. Okay, so that was quite the slideshow, Bruce. I love your family photos especially. Today we are here with Bruce Schmalfuss, a local Long Island artist from North Babylon. I met Bruce about a year and a half ago. We met, and as soon as he told me about his artwork and referred me to his website, I said to myself, I really want to interview this guy. So a year and a half later, here we are.
We're here.
Yes. So I really loved that one photo that came up of you and your family. It's kind of like one of those typical 1950s, 1960s family shot. And you had on those WMCA good guy shirts.
Yep.
There it is.
Yeah, okay, so that, yes, that.
So tell me about that photo.
Oh, that's so bad.
Which one is you?
I am in the front right, in front of my grandmother.
I thought that was you.
Yeah, and that was taken at Woodcliff Park. That was our summer place. One of my fondest memories as a childhood is when we were out there.
You just answered my question.
And that was with my whole family, my dad, mom, my brother Stephen, Andy, and my sister Sue.
Uh-huh.
And my grandfather, of course. Yeah.
Lots of siblings that followed you.
Yes. We Andy was my second, right behind me, 3 years. Then Sue a year after that, and then Stephen was 10. So nice family, nice brood we had at home.
Yeah.
And Woodcliff Park was, as I said, very fond memories during the summers.
It looks like your grandmother was very fond of you.
She was, yes. She used to pull me out of school to go to Met games when the Mets came to finally came into existence and went to Shea Stadium. She was a lady Met, so she needed somebody to go to the Met game with. She used to take me out of school to go to the game. So
she looks like she adores you, the way she has her hands on your shoulders.
Yeah, she was a good woman.
Yeah.
And my grandfather was great. He used to build stuff for me all the time, go-karts and whatnot.
Did you do art at that age?
Nah, never dawned on me. I sort of read, I started reading probably about that time, but
okay.
There's no remembrance of any sort of artwork or sketching, drawing, stick figures or anything. I was very, wasn't doing any of that.
What did you like to do to have fun at that age?
Well, at that age, at Woodcliff Park, we used to go to, swimming a lot. I loved the beach, still love the beach. I did like to read books at a very early age. And, we used to do like family things during, watch movies and TV on Sunday nights, have ice cream and whatnot. It was a good time.
Yeah.
When I was at that age,
Yeah. How was it to have so many siblings right behind you? Three or four?
Yeah, three. I felt good because I was the oldest and number one in the family, and I always tell my mother that you're number one. So.
Okay. So you played that role?
Yes, even today I do.
Number one son?
Yep.
All right.
I let her know. I let everybody know. I'm number one in the family.
Oh, well, that can go either way.
Yeah.
When did you begin to get an interest in creating?
Oh, I had I went to school, went to college, service, and really had some issues, in each of those places. But when I was able to get out of, the doldrums, I found that I had this hankering to create things. I bought wood tools. And
how old were you when?
Oh, that was probably late 20s when I first bought my first wood tools.
So I noticed in the history you wrote up, your biography, which is a very nice biography that you wrote, that even earlier than that, you had written a 700-page piece.
I did.
It was a fantasy of some type.
Yes, it was a fantasy book. Sort of untitled it yet. I had like about 10 different titles for it. I typed it out, and I did this mostly when I was in California.
How old were you at that point?
Early 20s, mid 20s.
Okay, so you were older. Okay.
Yes,
I thought you were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what possessed me to write it. My love of the Lord of the Rings sort of. I love Tolkien, so he sort of like got me going, and I needed to do something, to create something, and that was, I tried to write a book, and Samantha read it, likes it, and she said I should have continued with it, but it was
Samantha is your daughter.
My daughter, my oldest child, yes.
Yes.
She's
So
biggest fan.
Yeah, she created your website for you, right?
She did.
Yeah. Which we're going to flash to a little bit later. But for now, I would like you to, let's bring up a couple of your pieces of artwork right off the bat, okay? I'd like to go to a piece that was shown in the introduction. Which one was that of, the photo was of you and Marilyn at Windsor, right? Windsor Castle?
My wife, yes.
Yeah,
that is Windsor Castle. A segment of it's huge, but I just took a love to that little spot, and me and Marilyn had taken a picture right there, and I said, I think that would be a great.
That looks almost real to me.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. I love the vibrancy of the colors. They really pop out, and there's maybe just a slight distortion of perspective, maybe not, but I particularly like that kind of work that you can see in Van Gogh's work.
Oh, but being too modest and kind there.
Let's bring up another one. How about
this was Robert Plant. This is Robert Plant
Robert
on wood.
Plant, yes, yes.
Okay, my earliest medium was wood. I really didn't start on canvas till later on in my days. I don't know why. I thought wood was very cool.
Yeah.
It was actually routed out, so it gives it a little depth too.
It has a lot of dimension to it.
Yeah, and I loved Led Zeppelin, obviously, and I did quite a bit of Led Zeppelin material.
Okay, that is gorgeous. The vibrancy of the hair, that captures, maybe it's not the exact color, but I like that it's not the exact color of Robert Plant's hair.
Close in the stage light, it appears that way.
Yeah,
Yes,
it glows.
Yeah.
Let's flip to the next one, which is
Well, it's an album cover.
oh, okay, that's the Grateful Dead album cover.
Yeah. That actually is one of many, many album covers that I did in wood. Or my earliest.
That's another carving?
That is all wood carving, routering, Dremels, whatever.
What is the name of that album cover?
Terrapin Station by the Grateful Dead.
Right. I think you said that. Dancing Turtles.
And then there is Jimmy Page.
That is Jimmy Page.
In wood, another wood
double
piece.
Guitar.
He is playing Stairway to Heaven there, my favorite tune.
So, when you do these pieces, do you take them from one photo that you've seen?
Sometimes. I do sometimes pictures I've taken, sometimes pictures out of books, sometimes I'll freeze a clip of a concert and capture and then just take a still of that clip that I froze and then paint that.
Right.
But I do like different angles and whatnot to try and capture the shading correctly.
So we have so much more to share with you here today, but for this moment, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when you come back, we're going to visit or see some more of Bruce Schmalfuss's art of not only rock and roll stars, but quite the diversity of subject matters too. So please stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Arthur Lee, founder, CEO, and inventor of LifeVac, a simple rescue device that can save a child's life in a choking emergency. All these people were saved with LifeVac. People may not realize that on average, 14 people a day die from choking-related incidents. Every 5 days, one of those is a child. As simple as place, push, pull.
To learn more, please visit lifevac.net.
Okay, hello everybody. We are back. This is Come Together Conversations with me, Ann Smollon, and today I am interviewing Bruce Schmalfuss from North Babylon. And what I'd like to do, Bruce, is to jump into, after I pour us a little bit of chamomile tea,
I love it.
to increase the relaxation. This is one way that I get relaxed.
Chamomile's good.
Woo! Drip, drip.
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome. I would like to just continue with showing some of your pieces because they are so absolutely beautiful, colorful. So this is a wood-burned piece. Tell us about that.
Early in my days, I was working with wood strick solely, and I decided Stairway to Heaven being my favorite album of all time, or song. And
okay, so that's the lyrics to Stairway to Heaven carved in wood.
Yeah.
What kind of wood is that?
It's all pine because it's easy, soft to burn.
Yeah.
And then the old man there is from the inside cover of that album. If you were to look at Led Zeppelin 4 and open it up, there it is.
Beautiful. And let's go right to the next one.
These are...
That's beautiful Stevie Nicks in
Yeah.
black and white. Is that a charcoal?
It's just paint, regular black and white paint.
Okay.
This was early in my canvas days. I was trying to start to paint on canvas, and I chose black and white because I wasn't as comfortable yet at the time with colors and blending. So I did two or three black and whites, but I think we have 2 here to show you.
Okay, let's go to the next early one.
And again, Bob Dylan, black and white.
Ah,
Early
yes.
painting.
We all know who that is. Great Bob Dylan.
Yes.
Let's go to the Let It Be piece.
Yeah, and I this actually was my first album cover I ever did. I did a lot of album covers, but this was the very first one. And I chose the Beatles. It was easy to router, and then, I just painted the faces onto the, I was getting comfortable with painting. And
Well, that's great that you were able to capture so much of the detail of their looks with carving into wood like that.
yeah, it was fun doing.
Okay, the next one is Mick Jagger.
This was actually an oil painting.
That's almost like a caricature.
Yeah,
I love the background.
I
I love the way the green is backing him
Yeah, I
up.
like Mick, and I tried to capture him in like really freehand style, and with the I guess I didn't want his mouth to be that big, but it did come out that way.
I think he deserves that.
Yeah.
The next one is Broadsword and the Beast.
Yeah, an album by Jethro Tull. I love the cover of the album, and I figured I have to try and do that in wood, and it came out really nice. I felt that this was one of my better album covers.
It's beautiful. I like the coral frame on the outside. What kind of wood is that?
Well, everything, as I said, is pine. I haven't used it.
Is that one piece or did you frame it?
The frame is separate.
And the next one, because we have a lot to show here, is a Boston album cover.
Okay, this was
that is Don't Look Back, right?
Yep, Don't Look Back. This was actually one of the first album covers that I used something other than wood and paint. There's actually strings to indicate the light beams going down. I used string to do that, and it seemed to work out good. And I did it again on the next album piece that you'll see.
Okay, and is that Kansas?
Kansas, another one of my favorite
Audio
bands.
Visions?
Mm-hmm. And again, I used string to highlight the beams of light.
Beautiful. Really spectacular.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a painting, but it's a carving.
It's three-dimensional wood, yeah.
Right.
Routed in different levels. So I call it's multi-layered painting rather than 3D. My real 3D comes up later, when I...
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is to just bring a few other of your iconic rock and roll works.
I was commissioned to do a painting of Bruce Springsteen, and this is what I came up with. And the buyer of that painting
this
loved
is,
it.
As it looks like your work is progressing in its, I don't want to say talent, but it's progressing in its skill. This looks a little more skilled than the Mick Jagger piece.
Yeah.
Although I love that Mick Jagger piece. It's just gorgeous.
I like to paint what I see. I'm getting more into detail. If I see it, I have to paint it. And so, yes, I pay more attention to the detail. My shading is actually improving as I've been going along. Each painting I learn a little bit more. And it's hard, but it's fun to do.
Let's bring up the next one, the Notre Dame.
Is one of my pieces that I went to. Marilyn and I went to France, and it was a night shot we took on the Seine River of Notre Dame, and I decided I was going to paint it.
It's beautiful, lovely. The way that the buildings contrast one another, and the bridge in the front.
I think that's my only night piece that I think I've done.
It's lovely and romantic. The next piece is
The late great John Bonham. Yep.
John Bonham.
Drummer of Zeppelin.
Of
Passed
course.
away in 1980. I tried to capture him, wailing away on the drums.
And so we're going to change a little bit. You're really diversified here. And
Yeah.
this is General John.
John Buford. Is actually portrayed by Sam Elliott from the movie Gettysburg. I happen to be a fan of going to Gettysburg. My wife and another couple go to Gettysburg every year. And at some point, they said, let me paint some of these characters from Gettysburg, because we watch the movie every year, and then we go.
Okay.
We walk the
then
battlefield.
From the great late General to the great late Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, another great guitar player. I love to paint guitar players.
Yes. You love to paint rock and roll stars too.
Yes, it's
In general.
I will always default back to rock and roll.
The next one is Bono.
Vocalist for U2. Saw him in concert back 2015, and figured I got to paint him.
And you're giving extra special attention to Jimmy Page, because this is the second piece of him. He is really quite a gorgeous man, and that is a gorgeous representation of him. He deserves all that brilliance in the background. It looks almost as if he is on fire, which he was.
Yeah, when he played, he was.
So, Bruce, I want to ask you, I can't help but notice that your pieces are rock and roll stars predominantly. There's a couple of others in there, landscapes and military men. How did you become so interested in rock and roll?
Since I was a kid, I just love listening to music. I wish
So you were born in 1955,
correct,
right?
yeah.
And we did not have iPads or iPods or
none of
cell
that stuff,
phones.
yeah.
Where did you first hear music?
Little transistor radio that I used to keep next to my pillow on my bed. Yeah, I'd listen to music at night falling asleep.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Did you have the tiny little white earplug?
No,
or
no,
tan
no,
earplug?
no earplugs at that point. I don't remember if they came out at that point.
Did you take it to the beach?
Yeah, when we went, I probably did. But
And then what was the second device that you listened to music on?
well, eventually I got a turntable and then started buying albums when I was like a teenager. And, one of the first albums I've ever bought was Led Zeppelin 2. And they've always been like my favorite band. And then when I saw them in '73, forget it, was lights out. I was like hooked, line and sinker. I was obsessed with that band.
Okay. So I saw a photo of you in your studio, and you are surrounded by these icons, by the paintings that you've done. You've sold a few.
I have sold a few. I've sold prints of my originals, and I sold quite a few wood pieces, which, sometimes I regret because they were really nice. I still wish I had them. But
So how many pieces have you done?
all told, maybe 100, and rock and roll predominantly.
I find it fascinating how the subject matters, the process of how we get to where we do as artists happens. I can't help but notice, and this is not a gotcha moment, but all of your subject matters are male. Did you come from a male-dominant family? You
You
go
may
from
think that. I don't know.
rock stars
Yeah.
to military men.
But
I
honestly,
I'm not insulted personally.
No, I know. I can't help it.
Oh, but you did do a Stevie Nicks.
Yes,
Okay,
I did.
so I take that
I
back.
do. I mean, my favorite rock stars are Led Zeppelin, and I do like great guitar players, and they're men.
What do they do for you? What does it do for you to be surrounded by your artwork?
Well, it's a comfortable place to be. I get inspired to paint more. I actually have another canvas going on right in the middle of all that with the Who that I'm doing.
Okay, hold that thought, okay? This is Come Together Conversations with Ann Smollon, interviewing Bruce Schmalfuss, the Long Island artist, and we are going to be right back to continue this conversation, and we're going to show you some live pieces that we have right here at Strong Island TV studio in Massapequa. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Michael Astor, a New York personal injury lawyer at Astor Law. I've spent the past 30 years fighting for New Yorkers who have been injured or lost a loved one due to the fault of others. At Astor Law, we help accident victims. We have a track record of success with some of the largest settlements and jury verdicts in America. At my firm, we provide New Yorkers with a free consultation. And if you hire us, you don't pay us until we win money for you. If you or someone you know has been injured in an accident, give us a call. At Astor Law, quality service doesn't cost, it pays.
Hi everyone, it's Teresa from Tea Time. I have a show on every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. on Channel 20. What's Tea Time about? Tea Time is about interviewing people in the entertainment industry. Actors, producers, singers, dancers, magicians, MMA fighters, Donnie Most from Happy Days, and Butch Patrick from the Munsters, Kieran Sheehan, who played the lead in Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, and so many more. So check out my show. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it's interesting. Hope to see you there.
Okay, so we are back. This is Come Together Conversations with Ann Smollon, that's me. And today I am interviewing Bruce Schmalfuss from North Babylon, an artist, a man, a father, a husband, and so much more.
Thank you, Ann.
A great human being.
Very kind
I don't
of you.
think this kind of artwork could come from anything but. So I'd like to continue with this idea of you being surrounded by your art pieces. We're so lucky that you took the time to bring all these pieces into Paradise Studios here in Massapequa. Start with this piece,
Okay.
the Led Zeppelin piece.
I call this one When Giants Rock the Earth. Obviously, Zeppelin, my favorite band. I had to do a big dramatic piece of them, and I love the band. I will never, there never will be anybody better than them.
What did they do for your life?
I changed it dramatically. I saw them.
How?
And
How did they change you or change your life dramatically?
I focused on music a lot in growing up, and listening to music and rock and roll, and particularly this type of rock and roll. Just I was hooked on it. Listened to it, bought albums day and night. Zeppelin was that band that just captured me and pulled me in, and everything about them. And Physical Graffiti was like one of the greatest albums ever made.
It sounds like they made you feel good.
They did, yeah.
Get you away from all the things of life that can sometimes bother us.
Thunder. I love loud music, but Graffiti was like the ultimate album, I thought, and the ultimate album cover. So I did this one.
Tell us about this Physical Graffiti. Do you call that a wood carving?
It's actually
It's
a little
more
bit
than
of
that.
It is everything. It's engineering. It's sculpting. It's carving. It's everything you could possibly think of. Like a craft.
Right.
It is art. Painting the bricks to get them exactly the way they're supposed to be.
These down here,
Garbage cans.
they look very, very realistic.
Yeah, I tried to make it as
There's even garbage in that garbage can.
There is. I tried to get it to overflow a little bit. What can I tell you?
Did you do that, or was that on the album cover?
I think it might have been on the album cover. I tried to get a little bit more. I think a piece actually broke off at one point. But
You like detail.
I do. I'm like, I see it. It has to be in my work.
Right.
So
Tell us more about this. I think it lights up, doesn't it?
It does, but I didn't bring my power supply with me because
Okay.
it's actually built into the wall
Okay.
right now. So,
All right.
but you saw other album covers I did. This was actually my first Led Zeppelin album cover. After all the years of doing album covers, I finally figured a way to do a Zeppelin album cover, and this was the one I chose. And it took me into actually new dimensions of creating, really true 3D artwork.
Yeah.
So, and I brought other stuff that, this piece here.
Yeah, go to that piece. That is a Grateful Dead
Grateful
cover
Dead
album
album.
cover, and you are definitely going to have to pronounce that title for me.
Aoxamoxoa.
Thank you.
Another one where truly 3D elements were put into this, and there's other things other than wood into this. I used wool to create the smoke right here. I dipped in lacquers and then I can shape it.
Did Jerry Garcia design that?
I'm not sure who actually designed this cover. Possibly. He's
Yeah.
a very creative guy,
Yes,
Jerry.
very.
But it was one of my... I had to do this one. It was a relatively new piece for me.
I love the bright, brilliant colors you use.
Yeah.
They kind of make you feel happy. What about, we don't want to get David Bowie jealous over here.
David, I saw him way back in...
What's he singing there?
Anything from like Moon Age Daydream from the Ziggy Stardust album, because this was where I first saw him, was back in 1974.
Okay, you said something very funny to me when I first saw that piece of artwork, because I asked you today to bring that in because this is one of my favorite pieces of Bruce's from his website, and I'm just so happy to see it. You said, yeah.
He was flaming, but...
You said, he's the prettiest man I ever saw, and I just had to paint him. And he is, and he's
but
wonderful.
this Bowie has so many...
He's glowing and
yeah.
on fire.
Bowie has so many styles to him over his career. This is the one I was introduced to him on when I saw him in concert back in the day. And yes, he was, wow, look at him up on stage. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, you could not miss or forget the face of David Bowie.
But, with the makeup, the colorful apparel he wore, I mean, I was stunned.
Yes.
But I loved the music. I was hooked. Another guy was just like hooked on his music for decades.
He made a lot of transitions.
He did.
And you did too. And so
Oh,
you transition from these wonderful rock and roll stars. We will get to another one of the military figures. Mm-hmm. And so there's a dichotomy in your work.
Yeah.
What is that about? From military figures to rock and roll stars, and then to some really beautiful landscaping.
It really
How does that reflect you?
It really goes with moods. What I'm in the mood for. What I really want to. What
are the different parts of Bruce Schmalfuss?
Oh, now you put me on the spot here. So he's got a lot of parts. I'm very creative. I'm very to myself a lot. I'm a very especially when I was growing up, I was by myself. Like I spent, many a lonely day and night in my room, reading and whatnot. But
do these figures take away that feeling?
Well, they've got me into a place where I'm happy at creating and listening.
And they surround you in your studio.
And
they surround you at work. You have your work walls filled with.
And like my places where I've been, there's an element of like, especially Europe. It's so different from where we are here in this country. It's old, but I try and capture that.
Yeah.
And I'm just mesmerized by the architecture, the people there.
Have you ever thought about being one of these gorgeous guys?
Yeah.
One of these iconic
I wish.
rock
I can't
stars.
play, I can't sing, so I paint them. What can I tell you?
What do you think about when you paint them?
I try and listen to their music when I'm painting their particular, like Freddie over here.
Let's go over to Freddie.
I loved...
Let me stand behind you.
I love Fred. I mean, Queen was phenomenal.
He happens to be one of my favorites.
He was probably one of the greatest frontmen, I would say, next to Robert Plant, but that ever stood on a stage. He's totally amazing, and I wanted to try and capture him on stage. You know, the way he.
You did. That was one of his signature moves.
Yep, and he was an amazing.
I'm not sure that
amazing vocal.
was that at the Live Aid.
This wasn't from Live Aid, but it was from a tour after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to Guns N' Roses, because
I went to another.
How
wood
is that
piece.
done? Is that wood?
That's all wood except for the. I used a little bit of wire to make the
Vines?
vines. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And so I could weave it in and out. I didn't know how to do it in wood, so I really wanted to just. It worked out great for me.
So for the sake of showing more of your pieces that are here, Led Zeppelin, we don't mean to insult you in any way, shape, or form, but we need to show this heartbreaking guy, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
Okay,
and,
that is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Tell us about that.
We were seeing him at Forest Hills back in 2017, and I tried to get the painting done before that concert, which was in August. I didn't. I finished it the last week in September of 2017. And it was very unfortunate that on October 2nd, right after that, Tom Petty passed away.
Wow.
So
That is a colliding of events.
Yeah, he was. It was a sad day especially for my wife. She was just in love with Tom Petty.
What is one of your favorite tunes of his?
Oh my goodness, "Running Down a Dream," great tune. And actually, that's the name of this painting, "Running Down a Dream."
David, we love you. And we also love Pink Floyd. Tell us about this one.
I call this one "Tear Down the Wall." They haven't played together as a band in ages, and they don't play together since the days of the Wall, when they made the Wall. It's Roger Waters on the left, David Gilmour. I put that. It was sort of like a wish of mine for them to get back together again. So
They mean a lot.
Yeah, Pink Floyd was another one of my favorite bands of all time. Saw them in '74 and '75 in Pittsburgh, and it was one of the best shows I ever saw.
Freddie, pardon me, please.
I'll take that.
And I'll put this one up. And that is...
Well, I did this one for my...
Eddie
Van Halen.
Van Halen.
Yep, young. This was him very young. I did this sort of for my brother, Steven. He, like I am to Zeppelin, he is to Van Halen, 10 years behind me. So it's a generational thing.
Okay.
But he is such a huge Eddie Van Halen fan. So I decided, let me paint it. So, and...
You have an eye for color.
I love colors. I love...
How did you decide to just put that splash of color around his neck? I think that's a scarf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This was I worked from a black and white picture, actually, on this.
Wow. Did you add that color?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had to...
So, for a guy who calls himself a little bit quiet and shy, you take bold leaps with a lot of your artwork.
I try. Especially this next piece. I mean, I've never done anything like this before.
Okay, so bring it up.
I think we could just stick this one right here.
Sure.
Let me explain this.
Tell us about that one.
Tuileries Gardens in Paris, France. It's another location my wife and I had visited. I enhanced it with more flowers than were there at the time because of the fact that it was fall when we were there, so most of these were gone. But I looked at a lot of photos to see what they have growing there, and I tried to improvise and put it in there.
Very, very, very beautiful.
And it's the first time I ever really painted flowers.
Bruce, there's another one here, and it's called Remembering Venice, because I just read the back. Let's put it, sorry, physical graffiti.
One of my wife and I's favorite vacation was that in Italy. We both loved Italy, and this any block you go down and on these canals, you see wonderful, architecture and just scenes like this everywhere in Venice. It just happened to be one spot that I took a picture of, and I said, this could be a painting. So
it's beautiful.
So
it's lovely. It's serene. It gives me a feeling of peace. We will be right back to finish up with our guest and artist, Mr. Bruce Schmalfuss. This is Come Together Conversations. I'm Ann Smollon, coming from Paradise Studios, Strong Island TV. See you in a bit. Don't go away.
Silvermine at Home, a Connecticut-based non-medical home care agency servicing Connecticut and parts of New York. Silvermine caters to their clients' needs while offering peace of mind to their families so their loved one can age in place and live their best life possible. Call today to see how they can make a difference in you or your loved one's life. Our family caring for yours. Visit silvermineathome.com or call 203-228-5007.
Hey there! I'm Captain Splish. I'm the superhero swimming. I'll teach you to be water safe with all my swimming skills, along with all my sing-along friends here in Splish Splashville. Myrtle the turtle, Octi the octopus, Starry the starfish, and that's just a few. You'll learn all about what your body can do. My superpower is to teach with song and rhyme, and that helps you remember what you learn every time. You'll learn to float and you'll learn to swim, from blowing bubbles to jumping in. Each week, you'll learn something new. You'll be amazed at what your body can do. I'm so excited for you to see the show, but now Captain Splash has to go. See you soon. Bye.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to Come Together Conversations. I'm Ann Smollon, and I'm interviewing Bruce Schmalfuss today, a local Long Island artist that is located locally, but has done pieces of art from all different walks of his life in Europe and amongst. How many concerts did you attend all in all?
Oh, hundreds of concerts, over 100.
Okay.
You know, maybe close to 200 concerts. I don't know. I can't count them all.
And so from our last segment, we forgot to bring up one piece of his artwork. And so we have it right here. What is this piece, Bruce?
Okay, this is from Sedona, Arizona. It is a beautiful countryside with amazing hiking trails. And it just happened to be one trail that we were on with this nice stream and, you know, the vegetation. Because a lot of it's like desert, but this happened to be one beautiful area that had the red rocks in the background and the foliage. So I decided I'm going to paint that.
It's beautiful. Really lovely.
Thank you.
And then we have another iconic rock star that we don't want to miss, the great Brian May.
Yes. Along with Freddie Mercury, I mean, I love Queen, and I decided, you know, as a follow-up to the Freddie piece, I wanted to do Brian.
Bruce, I really appreciate the way that you balance colors in your artwork. His shirt has this striped yellow, and then you have a striped blue in the bottom right corner. And I like the background. It's slightly muted.
Mm-hmm. I tried.
How did you get that effect?
Well, the striping of the shirt, just as the way the light hits it, this particular angle and stuff. And, the muted background, I decided to take away what I saw originally, which was a stage set, and I just put in to really just focus on him. He just jumps out off the canvas, I think, from that.
Right. And our next piece is another Jimmy Page.
As you can see, I like Jimmy Page a lot, and I painted a lot of Zeppelin and Jimmy Page pieces. Again, he's a very dynamic guitar player on stage. I believe he was playing Trampled Underfoot during this piece here. And
again, the figure is wonderful, and the background, you're making the drum cymbals a bright green.
It's the way you light, the light.
That's very bold to do that, and creative and you're walking out on the limb there a little bit.
I try to figure out, a lot of the stage lighting is very dynamic and bold, oranges and greens and blues, and I try and, if where I'm capturing it from shows any hint of that, I try and actually highlight it more, bring it out more, and emphasize the colors, because I do like bright colors. I think it just jumps off really catches the eye.
Yeah.
So
sometimes artists describe this state of flow that they get into when they're doing their artwork. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Sort of, yeah.
What do you think I'm talking about?
Well, I don't know, like a state of flow. You're talking. When I get into a painting, not only am I thinking of the figure, but the way the music flows through the paint. I'm trying to capture that whole stage presence of a concert, rather than just a painting of a guy, on
Do
the
you
stage.
get relaxed when you paint?
Yeah, it's very extremely relaxing, and I don't get frustrated with it. One thing I learned is if you make a mistake, just go right over it again. You take your brush, just go over it, and it doesn't, no harm, no foul. So I just keep going, and until I get my finished product.
Let's look at one more, and this is all the album covers of Led Zeppelin from 1968 to 1980. And can you describe what kind of medium that is?
Well, it's all wood. It's on pine boards that I put together. The reason I did this piece is if you follow my history with album covers, up to this point I hadn't done a Led Zeppelin album cover. So I decided to do all of them on wood, as a tribute to the band.
Right.
So I carved everything out. You can see I did that from Led Zeppelin 1 all the way down to Coda, which was their finale piece after.
Name me each of those album covers.
You got Led Zeppelin 1, Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin 3. The fourth album really technically is untitled, but a lot of people call it Led Zeppelin 4 or Zoso. Then comes Houses of the Holy, Physical Graffiti, Presence. Then their live album from the movie, the song remains the same. In Through the Outdoor, and then finally Coda was an album released after the death of John Bonham of songs that had never made other albums. This piece, sort of like when I painted Physical Graffiti on that, I was painting all the bricks and everything, and I said, that really sort of like led me to do the Physical Graffiti that you saw over there. This led in that direction. I knew I can do a three-dimensional piece.
Okay, so you did the album cover piece, and then you did Physical Graffiti?
That went next, yes.
Ah.
So there was a timeline, a time flow, yeah.
That leads me to a part of art that I'm interested in, which is the process. How did a person get to the point where they have the energy, enthusiasm, inspiration, motivation, time, money to do the prolific amount of pieces that you've done? And we're going to cover that actually in part 2, which will be down the road a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, we'll give you a little teaser of what else will be involved in that, included in that. Bruce has also done battleships. This is one of them. Tell us a little bit about it. And he's going to... Are you going to bring this piece in?
Yeah, I can get it into the car.
How much does it weigh?
This one's pretty light. Not too bad at all. It's 5 foot long. I did this. This is a very interesting, detailed piece ain't the word for it. It took me virtually 10 years.
Wow.
But I was in a creative burnout.
Mood?
Yeah, I was burned out for about almost a decade from creating.
I could imagine.
I had done the Titanic, which
what
we will
is
show
that?
in part 2.
North?
Yeah. That's the USS North Carolina. It's an actual really World War II battleship.
Okay.
And I chose that one because I was able to climb all over that one.
Did you see it in real life?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where was it located?
Wilmington, North Carolina, and that's my dad lived down there.
Uh-huh. Was your dad in the military?
He was in the Air Force.
And you were in?
Navy.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
That's another story for another time. But
yeah, and so then we have the Titanic that you also did.
Yes,
that's a beauty. Now that weighs a little bit more than the Battleship, right?
Quite. It's 8 foot long, stacked with pine boards, shaped, and I would say roughly around 200 pounds.
Have you ever floated it?
I don't want to try. I don't want the Titanic to sink
it would?
twice.
I mean, you do have a bathtub. That would be safe.
Yeah, maybe. It is wood. I mean,
maybe
wood
not.
does float.
So, we only have a couple of minutes left here. I'd like to mention Bruce's website, which has almost all of your pieces up on there, right?
It is maintained, yes, by my daughter Samantha. I send her pictures. She puts it up on the website. Now, it was her that designed the website to begin with, schmalfussart.com.
Mm-hmm.
And
spell that out.
schmalfussart.com. All
one more
word.
time. One more time.
schmalfuss art.com.
Thank you.
And she nagged me for years. Dad, why don't you show your stuff? People would love to see what you do. And
well, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah. So
today,
she took it upon herself to take pictures of my stuff on a visit home. She lives in Holland, by the way. And she came home November 2014, and she had a surprise for me. She had set up the website, Schmalfuss Art.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my goodness, and and then that was really the first point that I really felt like an artist. I did all this work, and yet I didn't have that feel of
That's like if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it.
Does it make a noise? Yes, I don't know. Prove it.
And so your daughter gave you more value, and
yeah, she gave me.
I could see you're touched by what she did.
I was like shocked. I cried, because it was a very emotional experience for seeing your own work on the website, on the internet.
For how many years had people not seen your work?
Since I started, the only people that ever saw my work were like people I worked with or, family. I mean, where were they going to see it?
And you did an interview with Doug Geed. What year was that?
That was 70 or 98. That was right during the height of the Titanic movie.
And how did you get that interview?
Well, again, Samantha sent some photos of my Titanic project to News 12.
She's a little matchmaker.
Yeah, she did. And it really got me to, I was afraid to be in public, but I got on that studio and I brought the Titanic in. Me and a friend of mine carried it, put it in his van, and we got it to the studio. And I was able to do the interview fine.
You got pushed through the door.
Yeah, and I was I was
we
nervous.
Are going to include a little bit more of that video from what was already seen in the introduction in our next part.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to be put up on many social media platforms, and those include Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch TV, Instagram, Vimeo, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and that's about it.
Wow, that's a lot of...
I think that's enough, don't you think so?
I think that's... wow, a lot of people are going to see this.
So for part 2, we are going to talk more about your process, your journey as a man and an artist, as a father, a husband, a grandfather, and then showcase your Battleship, North Carolina.
Yes.
And the Titanic. So this is Ann Smollon from Come Together Conversations, Strong Island TV, finishing part 1 of an interview with Bruce Schmalfuss of North Babylon, Long Island. Thank you, and see you next time, Coming Together.